It's clear social media is changing society. But there's growing concern about one aspect, that social media is causing a rise in young people killing themselves.
Shape up or face the consequences. Social media firms are warned to remove content promoting self-harm and suicide.
Then we can and we must legislate.
Government claims harmful online content has the effect of grooming people to kill themselves.
But what do the numbers actually say? In 2017, there were 207 suicides by 15 to 19-year-olds in the UK. If we track back in time, we can see that that number rises and falls. If you take the base year as 2010, as some recent news reports have done, then it looks like there's been a 25% rise. However, if you take the base year as 1988, then it looks like there's been a 28% fall. The base year of 2010 is a useful one for those who want to draw a connection with social media, because that was the year that smartphone use really took off and we began carrying social media about in our pockets. But, as statisticians always emphasize, correlation is not the same as causation.
Causation is really hard and really difficult in this area because naturally now most teenagers use social media. And if we're talking about the increase in suicide since about 2008, a lot has happened. We've had a financial crash, we've had increasing societal divide, we now have a lot of uncertainty internationally, and we've naturally had the increase of technology. What we heard about today from the Chief Medical Officer in England is that there's actually not that important causal evidence that links social media use to low mental health and increases of suicide. And that's something that scientists, me and my colleagues, have been trying to say for over 2 years, is that that evidence just does not exist yet, and we cannot yet link things like social media use to increases in teenage suicide.
And here's a fact that might give us pause for thought. Of the 207 suicides of people aged between 15 and 19 in 2017, 144 were male, 63 were female. In other words, 70% of suicides in that age group are males. And yet, we also know that on average, males in this age group are less likely to use social media than females.
I think what's really important to note is that social media use is incredibly diverse, and our adolescent community is incredibly diverse as well. Social media will have different effects on each adolescent, and the types of social media use can differ as well. Looking at very skinny teenage models on Instagram might have a very different effect than talking to your friends via WhatsApp. So I think it's important for us to start turning the debate and start thinking about screen time and social media as something nuanced, something that we need to look at in detail, and stop making blanket statements which we know aren't backed up by scientific evidence and might be misleading the public and policymakers into thinking that just cutting screen time will increase the mental health of our adolescent population.
The Samaritans warn against ascribing a trigger or cause to something as complex as suicide. And that seems particularly good advice when it comes to putting the blame on social media. The evidence just doesn't seem clear.